let's start talking about what is a classic Kleiner company. What does that even mean?
A classic Kleiner venture is a really disruptive venture that's been founded by a passionate entrepreneur who's hell-bent to change the world, to either create a large new market or disrupt an existing one. Let me give you an example. Online education. Education costs too much. It's not available to enough people. So a venture like Coursera will transform the delivery, the accomplishment in higher education by partnering with great universities. Another example might be in mobile media, where reimagining media and making it richer and easier to create and curate new kinds of media can create internet presences that we'd miss if they weren't in the world, like a Twitter or a Flipboard or a Path. You know, we launched this iFund back in 2008, and we had $100 million returned in less than 2 years with just one venture, then doubled down on the iPad to $200 million. Here's why it matters. Today, there's more than $450 million invested in 40 mobile ventures. We just announced a new platform, you know, the Google Glass Collective. I can't wait to see how that turns out.
The thing that I remember about the classic Kleiner company is that it's been consistent, your view of the kinds of companies you want to fund over the entire time that you've been here, and Kleiner has been around for 41 years.
Well, since well before me. Genentech would have been a classic Kleiner venture. And these are companies that make a contribution.
Daphne Kohler told me that the great thing that she heard from you is that there are companies that can be successful but not impactful, and companies that can be impactful but not successful, and that she most appreciated hearing from you that you thought Coursera was both.
Can be both. It's looking good so far.
You're recognized as one of the most famous venture capitalists in Silicon Valley, and some people would say that you are Kleiner, emphasis on the word "are." You've told me that you feel that this is truly a partnership, and that some of the other, very notable partners here, Mary Meeker, Bing Gordon, Mike Abbott, are part of this team approach to how you look at what you do.
Well, my role here hasn't really changed. It is a partnership. I'm one of the partners. I get one vote, as everyone else does. Now, I'm more recognized than most and a spokesman for the partnership. But I think one of the really unusual things I keep hearing about Kleiner is the way in which the partners are collaborative and they make a team. We've made some wonderful additions to our team recently, and Kleiner successfully transitioned generations over now 40 or more years. 5 years ago, a guy by the name of Chiwa Chen, we recruited him into our partnership. And 3 years ago, Bing Gordon. And in the last couple of years, Mary Meeker and Mike Abbott, all really strong new digital partners with lots of experience to bring to ventures and entrepreneurs. And they joined some terrific tenured partners. I'm thinking now of Matt Murphy, Randy Komisar, Trey Vassallo, all working in our digital efforts alongside Ted Schlein and myself.
So Kleiner is not just John Doerr.
Kleiner is way more than John Doerr, thankfully.
You've said that you're not interested in chasing heat, that you're interested in quality over quantity, and that you bring a view of what it means to be a venture capitalist that is very service-oriented, with the customers being your entrepreneur. So I think a lot of other VC firms would also say they're service-oriented.
So chasing heat means to me scrambling to try to catch up with the next inconsequential, anonymous, unimportant socially networked site so that we can chat in a way that doesn't make any kind of difference. And the most important service we can offer is helping entrepreneurs attract and retain and develop their teams. Engineers are the new currency, and talent and execution is what distinguishes these ventures.
This idea of Kleiner as a service provider, when did that idea come into being? When did that approach toward how you do things start?
Well, Kleiner as a service provider is built really deeply into the DNA of the firm, beginning with considerable operating experience of Eugene Kleiner and Tom Perkins. Kleiner was there at the Shockley Transistor Lab when they invented it, and Tom Perkins built the Hewlett-Packard mini computer business. And they took those same experiences and said, now let's organize our partnership. So in a very high impact and and meaningful way, they can help entrepreneurial teams go faster and more surely to make new mistakes, not make mistakes of the past. Our first step on that journey was over a decade ago to hire Juliette de Bobigny, who is widely acknowledged to be the tech industry's most successful recruiting executive. And so she built a talent recruiting and development team that includes Jordan Ormont for executives and Andy Chen out of the CIA. He recruits engineers. And then we added other services talent. Lila Ibrahim in venture operations and development, and Christina Lee in marketing. We've tended not to talk very much about this, just to do it. But as the venture industry has gotten more competitive and other firms are also adding these services, we said we ought to go market those benefits.